रमण भगवत्पादाम्भोजे सदा रमतां मनु रमण भगवद्वक्त्राम्भोजे मनः पिबतान्मधुः रमण भगवन् मूर्तिं दिव्यां मुहुः समरतान्मनु रमण भगवत्पादाचार्यो ममास्तु परायणम्. Namo Ramana to all from Bhagavan devotees of Ohio Satsang group. I am Abhilash Mungamuru, coordinating from Ohio Ramana Center. We are all excited to be part of 125th anniversary of Bhagavan's Advent to Arunachala online celebrations. We would like to start with an offering in Telugu. As part of the Golden Jubilee celebrations of Bhagavan's Advent to Arunachala Day on September 1st, 1946, this Telugu composition was offered at the lotus feet of Sri Bhagavan by Srimati Birdavolu Lakshmi Amma, wife of Sri Birdavolu Ranganatham and the only sister of Griddaluri brothers of Nellore. She never had any formal education, but with her love and devotion to Bhagavan, she penned many compositions in Telugu which were published by Sri Ramanashramam into two books, Sri Ramana Vijayam and Sri Ramana Manasam. Bhagavan himself blessed these printed books and gave them to Srimati Lakshmi Amma. She was very well known at Sri Ramanashramam as Uratta. We are happy to hear the Golden Jubilee offering of Uratta's compositions by her nieces Srimati Ramanaputri, Srimati Ramanabala and Sri Ramana Alimelu.
అమ్మాయన వాక్యం వే అమ్మాయిల్లెడల వెలసెనది దేవతయై అమ్మాయమ్మాయనసును అమ్మా నిను పిలతునమ్మ ఎమ్మారమ్మా నీవే సృష్టికి కారణం నీవే ఆధారమమ్మ ఈశ్వరుగాంచన్ నీవే కరుణామూర్తివి రావే మా తల్లి మమ్ము రక్షింపదయన్ మాగడు సుతుడుకు చెయ్యలు సాగెడు మీ యొద్దగాది జననీ వినవే తీగకు కాయలు భరువా రాగతే మా తప్పులుడి మమ్ము రక్షింపదయన్ నీవే సృష్టికి కారణం నీవే ఆధారమమ్మ ఈశ్వరుగాంచన్ నీవే కరుణామూర్తివి రావే మా తల్లి మమ్ము రక్షింపదయన్ రమణేశు పాద సేవయు రమణునియందే మనమురంజిల్లంగా రమణ స్మరణము సతతము రమణీ మాకు సర్వమ్మ రమ్యముతోడన్ అమ్మ మా ఘోరగతలను అధిక ప్రేమ మెల్లమెల్లగా చెప్పవే మీ సుతునకు పలు విధముల విన్నవించియా పరమ పురుష కరుణగల్గజేయవే కన్న తల్లి కోరరు జ్ఞానము మోక్షము కోరరు జపయోగ భాగ్యములు కోరరు నితరము సద్గురు శ్రీరమణుని పాదములను చింతింతు జనులు కడుఘోర మాయలో కలతను జంది పడిమూడు తాపాల వలలను జిక్కి ఆశా పిశాచమౌ అభిమాన వృత్తి పాశంబులన్ బడి పాయగాలేక కడబడు భ్రమలచే తపిలించి నిల్వ ఎడమింతగాను కాయే మారుచుండు దీనుల దయచేర్చి దివ్య సన్నిధి తాను కటాక్షించి తన జదానంద వారిధిలో ముంచి వాసిగా బ్రోచు ధీరుండు రమణుండు దేవదేవుండు
రమణ గురు రమణ గురు రమణ గురుదేవ Guru Ramana Guru Ramana Gurudeva Karuna Rasa Paripurita Nijadasaka Posha Saranagata Janatastraya Varasundara Putra భువినాదుని పురమందున జనించితివయ్యా అవతారము జనతాపము బొలియింపను వేగ అరుణాచలమణి మానస గుహలోపల వెల్గన్ చిరుబాలకు వయసందున గణనేగితి ఉంటిన్ అచలంబగు అరుణాచలముని వంటి వివేగన్ అచలేశుని కనుగొంటివి ఘనతాపసనిష్టన్ సకలాత్మక సుఖదాయక సుగుణాకర రావా అకళంకుట సకలాశ్రయ నిజ జీవనదాత ఉదయించిన నిజ భానుట కరుణించెయుమాకున్ హృదయంబున నిడుమాతమ మృదుపాదము దేవా జయ మంగళ రమణ జయ జయ మోహన రూప జయ మంగళ రమణ జయ జయ సుందర పుత్ర రమణ గురు రమణ గురు రమణ గురుదేవ రమణ గురు రమణ గురు రమణ గురుదేవ. జై శ్రీరమణ. తెల్లని కోచిని తీరుగా ధరించి ఒక తుండు భుజముపై నొసగవేచి భస్మంబు నుదుటిపై బాబు మీరగబూసి కుంకుమ బొట్టును కొమరంగబెట్టి కరమున దండంబు కడువింత కాబట్టి మోమున చిరునవ్వు ముద్దుగుల్క మాధుర్యములకించు మాటల బల్కుచు కారుణ్యమయములే కన్నులమర బ్రహ్మ తేజమెల్లడల ప్రభలు బరుప భక్తవర్యులచే నిండి భద్రమైన కొలువు కూటంబున గలుడు కూర్మితోడ రమణ భగవానుడాతడే రారే చూడ అనుదినంబును గల్గు ఆయన రక్షాబ్ది వరముల గోలెడు వాంచయేల ఉల్లంబునందు నేనున్నాడనని ఉండ కనజాలనను చింత కలగనేల అడుగడుగునకు వాణి అభయంబునందుచు భావభీతి వలని కలవరమేల కర్త తానే యవచు కార్యముల్ నడిపింప నా కర్మ ఎంచు నలగనేల కరుణ నిండిన ఆనంద కలితుడైన పరమదైవంబు మనసున పాదుకొల్పి అన్నిటన్ వాణి కర్పించి అధిక భక్తి సేవ చేసిన భువిలోన తెలుగు సుఖము. రమణార్పణమస్తు.
Now we shall watch a small skit, Why Fear When Bhagavan is With Us, written and directed by Sri Venkat Gavala, acted by children of our center Shraddha Gavala and Ramana Sanat Mungamuru.
Hey, my friend, why are you frustrated and sad? Oh my God, what can I tell you? There's so much homework, and each subject projects with 4 voice recordings and 2 assignments to complete today. I am so fearful and worried if I will be able to complete it.
My friend, do not worry or fear. If it happened to me, my fear would have risen up. But immediately, Sri Bhagwan's teachings rescued me. Sri Bhagwan said that leave all the burden on him and get to work. Do not forget that we are children of Sri Bhagwan and need to reach him when we land into such situations. Moreover, in such situations, I remember I always get Sri Bhagwan's classical example of a man traveling in a train. Let me ask you, when a man is traveling in a train with his luggage, where does he keep it?
He keeps it underneath his seat or the luggage compartment.
So he does not carry on his hidden lap?
None but a fool would do so.
You call him a fool who keeps it on his head. 1,000 times more foolish is it to feel the load of your homework, which is like carrying the luggage on your head and feeling the fear and worry.
So, can I throw all my fears and worries about homework completion, etc.?
Okay, let me add one more example of Sri Bhagwan to get more clarity. Now, look at the picture of a temple tower. There are many statues in it, and there is a big statue, one in each corner. Now I say that the big tall tower is supported by the big statue in each corner, whose hands seem to be taking the load of the tower.
How can that be? What are you drawing up to?
I mean, when you say you cannot throw away your fear about homework, is it not more foolish to mean that you have to fear and worry to get your homework done, rather than resting the burden of homework on the Lord and getting to work? The Lord of the universe carries the whole burden. You imagine that you do. You can hand over all your burden of getting the homework done to His care and start working. Do not think you cannot do it unless you have the fear and worry to complete it. Fear and worry do not give strength to you. The strength comes for resting on Sri Bhagwan.
So, my friends, the above interaction happened with Sri Bhagavan and Sri Kapalisa. Many such incidents have occurred between them. One such incident is as follows in Kapalisa's own words. In 1930, Maharshi asked me to have a look at the Sanskrit rendering of a Tamil work by Lakshmana Sharma. It was very imperfect, and after hours of struggle, I could find was only a couple of verses. How to complete the remaining 38 verses or so within the limited time haunted me. In the evening, as soon as the Maharshi came to his seat, he asked me to take up the work. It was amazing that within 2 to 3 hours, I finished almost all the verses. Later, Sundar told me what a magnificent and inspiring sight was to see the Maharshi blaze transfixed on me all. He added that the Maharshi's face and head looked inordinately big. When I came to the last portion, I looked up and the Maharshi asked me with an exclamation of joy, "So, is it finished?" I answered, "Yes, but the last verse does not come off in this particular meter." "Does it not come in that meter?" queried the sage. Within a moment, a strong upward movement gushed up beneath it, somewhere from the root of the spine. Involuntarily, a verse came out like a cry from my mouth. It was the verse in the required meter. So, my friends, do not have any worry or fear. Fear and worry do not give strength to you. The strength comes from resting on Sri Bhagavan. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramana.
As part of the Advent to Arunachala celebrations, we would like to chant the 26th Tabakam, Apita Kuchamba Stabakam from Uma Sahasram, composed by Kavyakanta Sri Ganapati Muni. षड्विंशस्तबकः अपीतकुचाम्बा आगमविन्मतिकैरवणीनां बोधमजस्रमसौ विदधानः पातु महेशवधूवदनांशो हास्यशशी सकलानि आयतलोचनचुम्बितकर्ण दानयशोजिततो यदकर्ण शोणनगेशमनः प्रियवर्णः नाशयता जगदार्तिमपर्णा वेदतुरङ्गविलोचनभाग्यं वेदशिरोनिचरैरपि मृग्यं शोकविदारिसुधाकिरणांस्यं शोणगिरौ समलोकिरहस्यम् मुञ्च समस्तमनोरथलाभे संशयमद्य करामलकाभे दृक्पदमापनगेन्द्रतनूजा सोऽहमितः परमन्तरराजा शिल्पविदः प्रतिमां प्रविशन्ति स्वल्पविदां तरणाय चकास्ति शोणधराभृतिसम्प्रतिलब्धा हन्तचिरादियमेव ममाम्बा भारतभूवलयेऽत्र विशाले स्वन्तनगानि बहूनि गृहाणि आस्य विगीतसुधाकरबिम्बः शोणगिरौ रमतेऽत्र रमम्बा वारितसंसृतपातकजाला वारिधिवीचिनिरङ्कुशलीला वारिजपत्रविडम्बननेत्रा वारणराजमुखेन स पुत्रा आयतवक्रघनासितकेशी तोयजबाणरिपो हृदयेशी काशसुमाच्चयशः परमहिषा पाशविदस्तु तवेन्दुविभूषा पङ्कजसम्भवपूजितपादा पङ्कविनाशनपावननाम किङ्करकल्पलता परमेयं शङ्करनेत्रसुधाशरणं नः चञ्चलदृक्विनतामरवल्ली पञ्चपृषत्कसरासनझिल्ली काञ्चनगर्भमुखः प्रणुतेयं पञ्चमुखः प्रमदाशरणं नः अम्भविदूयभटान्मदनादि नूपुरनादबिभीषिक ऐषः हन्तजहारबलेन मनो मे शोणनगाङ्घ्रिनिवासिनि तेङ्घ्रिः कर्णपुटे कुरु मुग्धममोक्तिं मुञ्चधनाधिषु मानसशक्तिं शोणगिरीन्द्रवधूपदभक्तिं शीलय शीलय यास्यसि मुक्तिम् जीर्णतरे जरयाखिलदेहे बुद्धिबलं च विलुम्पति मोहे हन्तसवित्रितपन्मतिरन्ते सेवितुमिच्छति नाचरणं ते तन्त्रविदो नवयोनितु चक्रं शोणधराधररूपमुशन्ति अर्धमपुष्यवपुर्मदनारे अर्धमगेन्द्रसुते तव गात्रम् अस्तु नगेश्वरनन्दिनि लिङ्गं तैजसमेति दिहापि तवांशः वीतगुणस्य विना तव योगं देवि शिवस्य कुतः खलु तेजः स्थापितमूर्तिरियं तव नम्य पूजयितुं जगदीश्वरि रम्य सोननगार्तमिदं तव रूपं कीर्तयितुं न गजेदुतपापम् सोननगार्ततनो निशमङ्के धारयसे यि गुहं रमणाख्यम् आगतमप्यहामुहरम्बो छाटयसे गणपं ननु कस्मात् अङ्कजुषे रमणाय नुदातुं मानववेषधराय गुहाय सोणनगार्ततनो बहुदुग्धं मातरपीतकुचेह विभासि पूर्णसमाधिवसात् स्वपिषित्वं पीतमपीतकुचेम्बनवेत्सि अङ्कजुषा रमणेन सुतेन प्रेक्ष्य यथेष्टमुरोरुह दुग्धम् ज्ञानरसाह्वयमम्ब निपीय स्तन्यमसौ रमणो मुनिरार्ते ज्ञानमयो भवदीश्वरि सर्वः पुष्यति येन तनुं हि ददात्मा प्रीतिपदाय पयोधरकुम्भात् पार्वती धीमय दुग्धमपीतात् अस्तु गुहाय शिवे बहुदत्तं किञ्चिदिवेश्वरि धराय मह्यम् प्रौढमिमं यदि वेत्सि तनूजं शैलसुते मदवारिदधानं मास्तु पयोवितरानघवन्नं येन दधानि महेश्वरि शक्तिं स्वार्जितमेव मया यदि भोज्यं सम्मदयेव ममाखिलमातः आशिषमग्रतमा मयि दत्त्वा प्रेक्षयानि जयानि दरिद्रीम् विद्युतिवीक्षविलासा वीक्षितकर्मणि लक्ष्यरहस्या पार्वणचन्द्रमुखी ललिताङ्गी तैजसलिङ्गसखी शरणं नः मातरपितकुचेरणुशैला धीस्वरभामिनि भामहनीये साधु विधाय समर्पयते ते दोदकमाल्यमिदं गणनाथः इति श्रीभगवन्महर्षिरमणां ते वासिनो वासिष्ठस्य नरसिंहसूनोः गणपतये कृता उमासहस्रे षड्विंशस्तवकः. Now Ishwar Kashyap Kanuri will be reading a letter from the book Letters from Sri Ramanashramam by Suri Nagamma.
The deliverance of Lakshmi the cow, 20th July 1948. In my letter to you under the caption Worship of the Cow, I describe to you the grandeur of Lakshmi, the queen of the cows, and the amount of regard Bhagwan had for her. To that queen as for his own mother, Bhagwan on Friday, the 18th instant gave Videha Mukti, deliverance from the body. That morning, when I went to the ashram, I was told that Lakshmi was seriously ill and would not survive the day. So I went straight to the cowshed without seeing Bhagwan even. The room built for the cows was racked and cleaned, and Lakshmi was given a bed of straw to lie down upon. As it was Friday, she was, as usual, decorated with turmeric paste, vermilion mark on the forehead, and a garland of flowers around the neck and horns. Venkatratnam was sitting by the side fanning her. Lakshmi was lying down with her majestic look, spreading lustre all around. She reminded me of Kamdenu going to Kailash to do Abhishekam with milk or the great Lord Shiva. When I went to Bhagwan and prostrated before him and got up, he looked at me with a divine look. Taking it as an order, I said I would go and stay with Lakshmi. He nodded his head in assent and I went immediately. Venkatapnan gave me the fan and left. Sitting in that place, I began repeating Ramana Dvadasakshari, 12 letters of Ramana Mantra Stotram, 108 names of Ramana, etc. And Lakshmi appeared to hear them carefully. When Bhagwan came to the cowshed at 9:45 a.m., as usual, he came to see Lakshmi. Bhagwan sat on the hay by her side, lifted her head with both his hands, and passing one of his hands lightly over her face and throat, and then placing his left hand on the head, began pressing with right hand fingers her throat right down to the heart. After pressing like that for about a quarter of an hour, he said, addressing Lakshmi, "What do you say, mother? Do you want me to stay here alone? I could stay, but what to do? All people could be around you, as in the case of my mother. Even so, why shall I go?" Lakshmi remained calm, devoid of all the bonds of this world and of the pains of her body, as though she were in samadhi. Bhagwan sat there unwilling to move, and with a heart full of compassion, I was overwhelmed at the sight and exclaimed involuntarily, Oh, Mother Alagama had the greatest luck. So has Lakshmi now. Bhagavan looked at me with a smile. Brahmanyam, come and chat. It seems the doctor will not be coming till 10:30, as there is no immediate danger for Lakshmi. All right, so doctor will not be coming now. Have you brought the medicine for injection? Asked Bhagavan, turning towards Lakshmi and gently stroking her head and neck. He said, "What do you say? May I go?" Sublakshmi said she will feel happy if Bhagwan is by her side. That is so, but what to do? So saying and looking into the eyes of Lakshmi, Bhagwan said, "What? May I go? Won't you tell me?" Lakshmi looked at him proudly. What reply Bhagwan got? We don't know, but he got up and went away saying, "See that the flies don't get into the mouth." I assured him that he would take due care of Lakshmi, and Bhagwan left the place very Lakshmi and Bhagwan left Lakshmi and Bhagwan left the place very reluctantly. At the divine touch of Bhagwan, the outer breath of Lakshmi began subsiding, and the movement of her body began to decrease. When the doctor came at 10:30 and gave an injection, Lakshmi remained unaffected as if the body was not hers. There was no death agony. Her sight was calm and clear. The doctor turned her over into the posture of Nandi, put some medicine on the boils, and went away, instructing us to keep some support for the head. As it was 11:30 by then, Venkatratnam came back after having his meal. He asked me to hold up the head, saying he would bring some more hay. The tongue touched me and it was icy cold. The life of Lakshmi reached the feet of Sri Ramana and was absorbed in him. 10 minutes later, Bhagwan came into the shed, saying, "Is it all over?" and squatted by her side, took her face in both his hands as though she were a little child, and lifted it and said, "Oh Lakshmi, Lakshmi." And then to us, controlling his tears, he said, "Because of her, our family, that is, ashram, has grown to this extent." When all were praising Lakshmi, Bhagavan asked, "I suppose the doctor has not troubled her much. Did he? How did her life change?" We told him all that had happened. That is all right. Did you notice this? The right ear is uppermost now. Till yesterday she was lying on her other side. Because of the boil, she was turned to this side. So this ear had to come up. Look, in the case of people who die in Kashi, people say Lord Shiva will whisper into the right ear. Lakshmi too has the right ear up, said Bhagwan, and showed the ear to all the people. By that people there, but by that time crowds gathered. After a quarter of an hour, Bhagwan got up and said, "Ramana Krishna has been saying for the last 10 days that the good Tom Samadhi must be built for Lakshmi." Bhagwan then went away to the hall.
We will contemplate on the Upadesha of Sri Bhagavan to Sri Kapali Shastri for the questions posed by Kapali Shastri to Bhagavan on various occasions. These were compiled by our Satsang group devotees, and now we will all contemplate on those Upadesha.
Is self beyond the mind, thought and speech? Sri Bhagwan replied, mind is twofold, pure and impure mind. When in pure mind, the self makes itself feel, so that even in the midst of thoughts, you feel the presence, and the thought waves are felt as clouds passing by. Is Manonasha an absolute destruction of mind?
Sri Bhagwan replied, "No, when the mind gets clear of impurities and becomes pure enough to reflect the truth, that is Mano Nasha. This is impossible when the ego is active and assertive.
The jnani has no feelings of differences, but he feels sweet as sweet and wormwood as bitter, just like me.
Sri Bhagavan replied, "Yes, I have said that equality is the true sign of Gnani. The very term equality implies the existence of difference. It is unity in all differences, which I call equality. What is essential to know in all these appearances as differences is the one truth, the real, that I call unity."
Bhagwan, you said that the real self is waiting to take me in when earnest quest for self is done. With what certainty can you say this?
Sri Bhagavan replied, "When one is sufficiently developed soul, he becomes naturally convinced. The mind always wants certain theory to satisfy itself. Really, no theory is necessary for a man who seriously desires to realize his own true being."
Question. Bhagwan, when you say know yourself, what do you mean? Bhagwan replied, what you call yourself is not the real self. It's neither born or dies. Between self and the body, there is one something called ahamkara, the ego self, which is different from the ever conscious self and unconscious matter. This ego self partakes of the character of self and the body. Bhagwan continued, hence, know yourself is meant for the ego self. The ego self tries to know itself. The moment ego self tries to know itself, it changes its character and begins to partake less in matter, body or jhana, more and more of consciousness of self, the Atma.
With this offering to Sri Bhagavan, now we request devotees of Michigan Ramana Center to continue the 125th Advent to Arunachala celebrations. Namo Ramana.